enough to knock me out, but I'm still holding the throne. You'll never know till it's over. So pretty it hurts, just beware of.
Hello YouTube, Harvey Talks Prison here. First of all, I want to wish everybody happy Father's Day, even though you'll get this a day or so after Father's Day. But I was looking, subscribe if you're new here and like prison content, share, like. But I was looking at some of my old videos. You know, my early ones are bad, worse than the ones are now. You can imagine that. But I decided to redo. I did like 2 or 3 of them on the walls, and I decided to redo that one, and hopefully this will be better. The walls, M.S.P. Missouri State Penitentiary, is in Jefferson City, Missouri. It was built in 1836 by the inmates, convicts, pretty much slave labor. The town itself, you see all around the prison, see all these fancy houses and stuff from back in that time, and that came, the prison made the town what it is now. Anyway, you know, you had the 1954 riot, big riot, because of the corruption of the parole board. You had a lot of famous people there, or infamous, however you want to look at it. You had Sonny Liston, a boxer, and then you had James Earl Ray, who they said escaped in a bread truck because he was a contortionist. Yeah, right. He did not escape in a bread truck. I mean, he did, or he had help. That's my belief, because if you know how things was ran back then, and the count and everything, just like one of my subscribers, Jay, will tell you, he had help. He had to. In 1986, you had, man, I can't remember his name. Jay knows him. Yeah, he escaped in a guard's uniform. But anyway, it's 1988 now. June of 1988 when I entered that place. They put me in 2 house. See, when I was there, they was transitioning from letters to numbers. And they put me in 2 house. I don't know what the letter was before that, for it. But I was on top walk, R&O, receiving an orientation, whatever you want to call it. It's mainly they were waiting for bed space for me in population. It was hot. I'm just sitting there, no shirt on, sweat just running off of me. And then you'd find out later, well, I'll find out later that it was hot in the summertime. In the wintertime it was cold, especially on the bottom walk. Toilets would freeze over. Not real thick, but a thin layer of ice. And the place had huge cockroaches. And rats were in there where they'd come up out of your toilet sometimes. I am not lying about this. I thought the old heads were lying when they told me this, and finally one day I saw it. It just blew my mind. Excuse me. But one of the things I noticed when I first got there was the smell. It had a peculiar smell to it. Later on, I would come to find out there was like a smell of soap, state soap. I ain't talking about Dove or detergent or anything like that. I'm talking about soap made in the prison. They had a soap factory there. They had a tag plant there, which was where they made license plates. I don't know where they make them now because M.S.P has been closed since 2004. Sorry about that. I got some people walking over here on the side. I'm just making sure that, you know, well, the old prison mentality. You don't want anybody walking up on you. But anyway, they had a shoe factory too. They made shoes there for a long time. Finally, they stopped, I think, and we started getting shoes made from prisoners in Texas. My first day in the chow hall, I sat on the wrong side. There's a rooster running around in this park too. But I don't know where he came from, but I think about fried chicken for supper. But anyway, so you had the smell of the soap. It was like, I can't even explain it, like a lye smell. But the first day, first time I went to the chow hall, I sat on the wrong side because it was self-segregated. Blacks sat on one side, whites sat on the other side. There wasn't really any other races there. I think there was one Mexican there. And I heard that he came from New Mexico after New Mexico riots. But they, and this was after I got in the 3 house, they put, I'm going to kill that chicken. I am going to kill that chicken. But anyway, they put me in 3 house, first cell. I mean, kind of sucked. It was right next to the sergeant's office, you know, but I found out later that was by design. They wanted to keep an eye on me. But anyway, so I sat down at this empty table. This black guy comes up. He says, "You're sitting in my seat." And I said, okay, because I didn't know. I thought, well, maybe everybody's assigned their seats, you know, which they are, but by the prisoners themselves. So I moved over one, and he goes, "I'm going to give you a piece of friendly advice. Your kind sits on the other side." And I looked over there, and there's all whites over there. And I get up, and it seemed like every eye in the chow hall is watching me. And I walk over, I'm trying to find an empty seat. And I am going to finish this somewhere else. There we go. So anyway, there's these 3 guys sitting there in one empty seat, and they told me I could sit there. So I sat down there, and they said, "This is your seat. Don't let anybody take it from you. Don't let anybody sit in your seat. If they do, you ask them to get up nicely, and that it's your seat. If they don't, you have to get busy, you know." But they were to leave the seat one way or the other. And they said that was our partner's seat, but he went to the hole. I said, "How about when your partner gets out?" And they said, "He lost his seat." You know? So anyway, I think the head guy, because there's like a group, was his name is Cecil, I think. There's another guy, like his last name is Hornback. A lot of these guys, except for a few, look like bikers. You know, they had beards and long hair. Of course, over time, over years, that would change. People went to like the goatee thing and the bald head. Cecil, I think, had bald head and a mustache. But anyway, before I got down there, I was still an R&O. This guy named Roby Hudson. And he's a piece of dumb. I've heard this from several people that he's a rat. But I didn't know anything about him at the time, and he came by with a bunch of fans. Sold me a fan. $10. Canteen. Found out later that he worked in the property room and he would steal these fans and sell them. But I didn't know that at the time. Now, the walls had an upper and lower yard. There's mostly blacks on the upper yard and mostly whites on the lower yard, but you would see blacks on the lower yard a few once in a while, and you'd see whites on the upper yard. But the gym, if you was white, you did not go in there by yourself. You went in there with a group because you went in there and it was, especially if you were young, it was a good place to get hemmed up. Bad. They had a boxing ring in there, and boxers, probably from Sonny Liston days when he was there, but there was other boxers after him. And there was Mona. But it was also used for people to settle disputes without, I'm not sure if that really worked too well or not, but I remember one time being in the upper yard, made a bunch of, this is not long after I got there, they're showing me around the prison, And so these guys are playing handball. And the ball gets away from them and it goes over about a foot from the wall. And so I thought I'd just run over and get it. I said, I got it for you. And I noticed everybody's telling me, don't go over there. We got another handball. I said, it's no big deal. And this was right next to a guard tower. And he comes out. He tells me, do not take one more step towards the wall. I said, look, you can look right here. You can see the handball. It's a couple feet from me. Just let me get it. He goes, no. I'm telling you again, I'm giving you a direct order. Do not take one more step towards the wall. He had a gun in his hand, like a shotgun. Like a pump shotgun. I said, you see the handball, right? I'm trying, and everybody else is telling me to back up and everything, all the other prisoners. He said, you take one more step and I'll shoot. That made me step back, but to this day I don't understand it. I mean, it was practically, he was like 15 feet from the door. He could, if that, give or take a little bit, but he could clearly see the handball, he could clearly see me. What am I going to do? So that was my experience with that. And one day, I get up early, and I go down to the lower yard, and they got these like bleachers, but they're not bleachers, they're like concrete seats. But they're, like steps. So I'm sitting there, and and there's this guy that was running around the track, just jogging. It was early in the morning. And I don't know what's going on. But two other guys came and sat down a little ways in front of me. And they sat there and they were talking for a while, and they each had like a bat. And this guy keeps jogging. And finally, these two guys get up when he's coming back around and just go to town with him with his bats. And I walked off. It was just, they did a number on him. But I seen all kinds of stuff like that. That was the first time I seen him with the bat, so but I told you guys a story about waiting on a visit. You go in this tunnel. Well, you don't have to go through the tunnel, but you can come straight in. But when you walk in, there's this bubble, there's this open area. Visiting is on, as you're walking in, visiting is on your left, and medical is on your right, down a little hallway. And then there's a bubble right in front of you. So I go in there, and they tell me, you have to hold up with me. And there's PCs in there dressing out. So I'm standing there, and in comes this guy. He has a white issued shirt, and there's just red everywhere. And holes poked in it, And he comes up to me and, kind of staggering towards me. I don't even know how he was even walking. But he says, I need medical. And he almost staggers into me, and I take my hand kind of like with my fingers and kind of pushed him back the best I could. And said, yeah, you do. And by this time, guards are coming out. And one of them grabs him and heads him down that way. But the reason I did not, people say, well, that was kind of a heartless thing to do. But it wasn't. If I'd got, he would have done the same. If the situation would have been reversed, he would have done the same thing. Or maybe even stepped out of the way or something. But the reason why is if I'd got blood on me, my visit would have been delayed even longer. So I was trying to keep blood off of me. And there was a time came out for breakfast. By this time I'm on a different walk. I think it was third walk. It's the walk right above the first flag walk. They call it the bottom walk of the flag. Anyway, I was right above that walk, and they popped the child in the doors for breakfast, and I come out. There's a bunch of people bunched up down there. So this silly mind said, "Man, just hang back a second." And so we walked on, and after it gets moving again, and there's somebody laying on the walk. These walks are narrow too. There's no way walking around, whatever. The guy laying there, blood moving everywhere. So I had to step over him. And it just seems like there's all kinds of disturbance. I'm bound and determined to get through this video, guys. I promise you this. But I'm trying to make it better than the other ones I've done. They, I think it was January. Yeah, that was pretty much the end of that story. I think it was in January 1989, that they executed Tiny Mercer. And you can look him up and read about him. But I didn't know anything about him at the time. All I know is the night they was executing, it was dark, it was rainy, and every once in a while lightning would flash, and you'd see, when the lightning would flash, you'd see, like, for a split second, another housing unit. It was like something out of, there's these old buildings, old granite buildings, so it's kind of like something out of a horror movie, like when it was a dark and stormy night type thing, But they started showing porn to us, these porn movies. But before they did, everybody said they were going to protest the execution of Tiny Marshall. Now that I know more about the guy, I don't know why they did. Any of you guys liked him or friends with him or whatever, I'm sorry. He got what he deserved. That's my personal opinion. But so we're all banging on the doors in protest, and then somebody yells down the walk, "Hey, Channel 2, which was the movie channel where they showed the movies at, he's got porn on it." This is saying it nice. That ain't what he said. He said the P word, but the other P word. And so everybody stopped protesting. The banging stopped slowly, and everybody started watching the porn, I guess. But I always wondered, man, is that what it takes to get you guys to stop banging on the doors and for them to throw on something like that? I forgot to tell you about, not long after I was there, this is how I ended up on the walk above the flag, because I took a heck of a beating. I was getting ready to go out one morning, and my cellie said, "Where you going?" And I said, "I'm going out to the yard." He goes, "Where you going to be at?" I said, "Up to the yard." He goes, "No, man." He said, "Just wait for me." He said, "I'll get a couple of guys together, we'll go up there together, do what you gotta do, He said, "Well, I was gonna work out a little bit." He said, "You can work out in the lower yard." And but he said, "Just wait for it." He goes, "I want to be 30 minutes. So another guy said, "Yeah, man, just hold on a little bit, we'll go with you, Young blood. We'll go out there with you, young blood." That's what they called, guys like that. Young guys, like you calling them old school or old head. They would say young blood. But I got tired of waiting. Went up to the upper yard. And two of the guys approached me, black guys. And it's the pups. They're all right, Rosie. But anyway, and they're just trying to get me to choose up with them. Choose up with them means be their boy, And I had a tube back then. I had a tube beach net. And one of them says, "Which is going to be? Is it you going to take a good ass whooping, or you going to choose up?" I said, "Let's talk about that ass whooping. I take spitters in my mouth and spit right on my shoes." Well, they beat me down, and they're getting ready to walk off, and I'm kind of laying on the ground. I'm getting back out, and I said, "Can't fight one-on-one. That makes you some punks." Shouldn't have really said that. These pups are going to town over here. But so they came back and they just started stomping and kicking me, until I was just a bloody mess. I ended up they leave, I guess. That anyway, they took me over to medical, and then they put me in the hole. I went to the hole for being a victim of an assault. And they even put me on what they call administrative watch or something. But anyway, I was over there for a month, you know. And he finally let me back out, and that's when I ended up on the walk above. But it was. I got my GED there. I finished, you know, because when I went to prison, I was only in 11th grade, so I got my GED there. It was a school that was between the chapel and Three House. Like right before you can go down another way to the old yard. And so I got my GED, and then I became a tutor for a while, and then I got into the hobby craft, the leather craft, and that's where it was in the hobby craft where I learned the leather work stuff. It ain't as easy as it is now, because for one thing was everybody was in the hobby craft. They had to order stuff. It came by mail and packaged. Well, it does now too. But what I'm saying is, if you didn't know how to do it already, you also had to get these books on how to. You know, or if there was somebody else there that knew, they could help you. But nowadays, you know, if you have trouble doing something, just YouTube it or something, you know, or ask somebody in the Facebook group of your thing. But anyway, so that took up a lot of my time, and you know, it was fun. Time passed, and I remember a couple times we got drunk and high in the hobby craft. It was usually on the holidays when we make the alcohol. But I didn't really like. I only got drunk one time that I can remember, because I really didn't like getting drunk in the prison, because I wanted to be aware of all my surroundings. That's one of the things I was told when I first got there, to be aware constantly of your surroundings. Don't walk with your head down. You know, keep an eye on everything. It doesn't mean you have to get in somebody else's business. Just be aware of what's going on around you. And so I didn't like getting drunk. I would smoke the weed. And the only time I got dropped on back there at M.S.P was like right before I got transferred. But another scene I saw one time was a guy. This was when I was still on the bottom bar. I'm sorry these are not in order. I apologize, because, you know, I had them all in order. Wrote it all down, all the stories and stuff, and took notes from the other videos I did and stuff, but I got them all out of order now. But this guy, the Walkman, he was like mopping up, one of the workers, you know, was mopping up blood from a fight that occurred. And as he's mopping his blood up, two other guys start fighting. And one was getting the best of the other one. But they got close to where the worker was at. And this guy reaches in and grabs a mop wringer. The guy getting the worst end of his deal. Whacks the guy across the head with it, and just like, you know, peels his skin back. But I never will forget what the worker said. That was, "Oh man, not again. It's just more blood I'm going to have to clean up." But, and I told you guys, I don't think I'm going to talk about it on this one, about the guy who tied the two sheets together. And the top wall thing, you know. But I remember one time being put in a hole. I think it was, I'm not sure, maybe Jay can correct me on this, but I think it was 3D where they put me. one section was for those with capital punishment. Sorry about that. But you know, they had other sections down there, and they I went down there for fighting. They put me. I got 10 days. They put me down there, and after 5 days, it was dark down there. You know, and it was cold. Some people say in the summertime it's hot. I don't know. I was never down there in the summertime. But I do know it's cold in the winter. And they, after 5 days, they opened the door and they said, "You coming out?" And I said, "What?" They said, "You want out or not?" I said, "Has it been 10 days?" They said, "No, it's been 5 days, but anybody that doesn't have a major violation can let them out on Christmas." So that was a Christmas gift, I guess. Then there was a story about, you know, I grew up where you use slang for different things, you know. They used to give us a bag of candy, here's all they give you on Christmas. They give you a bag of candy, a bag of nuts, they give you some pencils and pens and I think a little bit of paper, envelopes or something for cards. Oh yeah, Christmas cards. And $5 on your account. Of course, they ain't doing any of that now. But I had the nuts laid out, and this guy comes down, this black guy, and he says, "Hey man, I got some walnuts. I give you the walnuts, and you give me those Brazilian nuts." I did not know what a Brazilian nut was. Honest truth, I'm telling you, I did not. And I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Man, quit playing, man. You know what I'm talking about? Those Brazilian nuts right there." So I said, "Well, he ain't talking about the walnuts. This is what I'm thinking to myself. So we'll skip that one." So I pointed at the next one, and he goes, No, man. Quit playing, man." And finally, I hit on the right one. He goes, "Yeah, Brazilian nuts. You get those Brazilian nuts." And I said, "Oh, you mean these?" And I said, "The N-word toes." Well, he said, "Man, you're a dead man." And he leaves. And everybody was telling me around there, you know, because people heard him say, "So you're going to have to be careful at lunch, you know, and he's going to be waiting on you." And he was, but, you know, if he waited till he was farther down this tunnel, you know, farther away from the guards, however, he could have done a lot more damage. But the way it was, he's waiting at me at the bottom of the steps. And he just blasted me. Well, the first one I've got. The second one connected, and they said it sounded like a gunshot, like a 22 going on. But anyway, after the hole, I go up to him, and I mean, I see all of him and his partner. They see me coming, and they all like getting ready and shit, you know. I know what they was thinking. What is this dude? Man, is he crazy? You know, I know what they was thinking. So I walk up to him and say, "Hey man, is this old girl?" He goes, "Man, yeah man, you know, you just can't be going around saying that, you know." I said, "Look man, I grew up, that's what it was called. You know, it's nothing bad, you know. I mean, I didn't mean nothing bad by it." He goes, "Man," he goes, "Yeah, man, you know," he says, "it's all good, man," but he said, "Man, just be careful what you say. In prison, man, you gotta be careful what you say." And he's right about that too. And I've been asked about other people if we became good friends or anything. And, no, we didn't really become good friends. We'd speak once in a while, you know, but it was not a buddy thing. And so anyway, the walls had this. What was it? It was called like a shack or something. What was it called? Anyway, it was this. Basically, that's what it was. It was a shack, like a where they sell stuff at, on the yard, like a canteen on the yard. And you buy these books from the commissary, $5 books, and they got cards in them. Some of them would be 50 cents, 25 cents, nickel, dime, dollar, whatever. And it's $5 worth. And people used to trade them off too for things. But anyway, I'm out there in the lower yard because this is where it's at. I'm walking with these guys. One of them says, "Hey man, go and buy." This is where I found out about the cards too, because I didn't know about them. I hadn't been out very long, a couple of weeks. He goes, "Hey, take these books over and this money, and buy us a couple of pizzas." No, he said, "Buy a pizza. Buy us a pizza and some soda or something." Right? I said, "Where?" And he goes, "We're right over there at that shack, right?" I said, "That's a store?" He goes, he called it the shack or something. And he goes, "That's why I asked you to do it. I knew you being new, you'd be messed up by this, And I said, "So I just go over and buy something." And he goes, "Yeah." And so we both walked over there, right? And bought a. I don't think we ended up getting the pizza that time. I think that was another time. But we ended up getting a couple of sodas and something else, something small. And I said, "Where do you get these books at? This $5 books at?" And he goes, "You dummy, you buy them on the canteen." So I would do that then, So you never know. You might be on the yard, and you might want a soda. It's just easy. Just walk over and get a soda. Now, A Hall, which they also call Floor House, was an honor house, and I heard they had cats and everything else up in there. But I'm trying to give you guys a picture of all the different, and all the housing units look different. You know how nowadays in the prison all the housing units look the same? All these look different. They just look different. And A Hall was granite 2, just like 3 house. 2 house was brick. 5 house was brick. 5 house was weird because they had a part added on to it too called 5C. Now 5C is where they put you in there naked. You get in trouble, it's the hole. You have to get in bad trouble and they put you in there basically naked or almost naked, and you gotta earn your way, get more clothes and stuff, And they beat you down there too. And people say, a lot of people don't believe the guards do this, but I've showed videos on the guard that beating prisoners. When I was out in the walls, guys used to come out there and say they was beaten. One guy came out of there, I was never there. One guy came out from there and said that when he was telling us, it was almost like he was bragging about it, like it was a badge or something, honor or something for him to get beaten by. The time I almost went there is when we was in the chow hall and we're eating. And there's a sign that says no hats allowed. And here comes this correctional officer down towards us, and he's wearing a hat. I couldn't help it. I said, "Hey, sir." He goes, "Yeah." I said, "The sign there says no hats allowed in the dining hall." He said, "That applies only to you. It doesn't apply to correctional officers." I said, "It doesn't say that. It just says no hats allowed in the dining hall." He goes, you want to go to 5C? And the other guys, they're at the table, start kind of mumbling under their breath. You know, shut up, shut up. They're telling me, be quiet, you know, under their breath. Well, I finally listened to them, and they said, you know what 5C is? You know, after he left. And I said, what? They said it's a Supermax. And he said they will beat you down there. If he doesn't like you or anything, they'll go in there and you'll be cuffed. They put a phone book across you and they beat you. That was back when they still had phone books. These big thick phone books. They lay them across you and they beat you with these nightsticks and these big lights. And because it hurts and everything, but it doesn't leave any bruising. So finally one day, this is 5 years down the road, I'm in waiting to see caseworker. I was sitting on this bench. I don't know. Anyway, sitting on this bench, and somebody else sat next to me, and he asked me if I was going home. I said no. And he said, "What are you here for?" I said, "I think they're lowering my custody level." He goes, "I'm going home, and I wish I wasn't." And I said, "Why that?" He goes, "Man, I got made here. 3 meals a day, roof over my head." And he was gay, and so he said, and there was all kinds of men here, you know. I was just shocked by it, blown away by that, you know. And so he said he was going to go out in the streets and commit a robbery or burglary or something, and keister money and come back. So I kind of, again, kind of sped through it, and that's mainly because all the distractions going on. But if you guys would like to hear more, let me know. I'll tell you some more. Jay's probably going to be in the comments. He's probably going to tell a good story, so you might want to check to see if he's got a story there for us. And I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.